Hey guys, Woods Farm here. Was hoping to be out working on the Scout Car today, but instead I'm gonna have to deal with the problem with the tractor. This came up yesterday. It's an issue with the carburetor. I'm gonna have to do a redneck repair to get this thing back up and running. So if you're interested, stick around and check it out. Okay, I have other carburetor videos on this tractor, but yesterday an unfortunate thing happened, and now I've got a leaking fuel line that's going into the carburetor. So I'll take you over and show you exactly what happened. Okay, so my needle has been sticking and causing a no fuel issue, and that's a completely separate problem. I'm gonna have to get a rebuild kit, I think, and a new needle and seat to deal with that. But I've just been kind of banging on the top of this with the wrench. And what I also found happened is if I loosen this off, cranked it over, I don't know, some sort of pressure differential, it would actually start, the seat would dislodge and the carburetor bowl would fill up and you'd be good to go when you tighten it down. So I've been loosening and tightening this banjo bolt quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. Well, yesterday morning I screwed up, and this is my own problem. I over tightened this by accident, and now I believe it is stripped out and it is leaking. It's just a steady drip, and you cannot tighten this up. So the body of that carburetor is probably zinc or maybe aluminum, I don't know, some sort of soft material, and that banjo bolt just spins now. Now I can look at getting a new carburetor. I priced them out. You can get not the same carburetor, but something similar that apparently works on this tractor. But you're looking at around 500 bucks. And there are some rebuild Zenith carburetors, same thing, about $500. But then there's a huge core charge. So I'm going to try to rig up something to get this fuel leak to stop. I'm a little hesitant, but I've got a day or two now. So I'm going to look at this and see if I can come up with a plan to solve the problem. I did not put a lot of pressure on this, but I guess that softer material, you can see it just spinning around and around. It's completely loose. So we'll get this off, and then we'll pull the carburetor off and take it into the garage and take a look. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's completely stripped out. And you can actually see the leftover material there. You can see that leftover material came off the banjo bolt. So that's the problem. Again, mostly my fault, but you know, this thing is pretty damn old. That fuel line's been off lots of times. So the real issue is I was hoping there was more material to work with there, and I'd be able to drill it out and tap it for the next size up and go to a different size fitting. I may still be able to do that, but there's not a lot of material there. So hopefully we get lucky and this will work out. First things first, I'm going to take this carburetor apart and get the fuel out of the bowl. This particular carburetor doesn't have a drain. So I'm going to take the top off, and that way I don't have to worry about spilling fuel. And it's just this top section we need to work on anyways. Okay, here's where we're at. The original banjo bolt is a 1/2 inch by 20. And you can see the banjo bolts, all they are is like a hollowed out bolt, you know, with a hole through it. So that's where we're starting with. I just started looking at the National Pipe thread fittings. It looks like a 3/8 is too big. That's a 3/8 fitting, and there's no way I'll be able to drill that and tap it and that'll fit. There's not enough material. That leaves me with a 1/4 inch, and the outside diameter on a 1/4 inch is 0.54 of an inch. So it's just slightly larger than a 1/2 inch, and this hole is about a 1/2 inch. So that doesn't quite fit in there. So I'm thinking I could theoretically drill that out and tap it, and then I'll be able to get on a fitting, something like this, and then I can go with a rubber hose onto the steel line, and that should work. So that's one plan. The second idea would be to go to a 9/16 bolt, so just upsize. And I'm not sure I'll be able to source a 9/16 banjo bolt, at least locally, but I might be able to make my own. So that's an option. I do have to double check the diameter here and if I can actually drill and tap out to 9/16, but that's an option. I would have to make my own banjo bolt. That could work. And then the most extreme option would be to maybe to get some zinc and actually pour some zinc in there, maybe even lead, but probably zinc would be better. Fill it with zinc and re-drill it and tap it and start from scratch. So that might also work. That's kind of an extreme situation, so I'm going to play around with the other two options. I'm going to head into town, see if I can pick up a National Pipe Thread tap for 1/4 inch and a 7/16 drill bit. I actually probably have a 7/16 bit. That's not that weird of a size. And I may look at 9/16 as well, and potentially make another banjo bolt. So it'll depend what kind of materials I can scrounge up in town. Okay, first stop, Canadian Tire. Let's see if we get lucky. Okay, so Canadian Tire didn't pan out, so I'm up in Ottawa. We're gonna try Princess Auto. I think they're gonna have what I need. So I drove all the way to Ottawa, Princess Auto, a 1/4 inch by 18 National Pipe Thread tap. And when I was driving home, I was thinking about it, and this requires a 7/16 drill bit, which is smaller than 1/2 inch. I'm not sure this is actually going to work. This opening is probably just too big, and the outside diameter is too small to drill it out to the next size up. I'm going to give it a shot because it's the easiest solution, and if that doesn't work, we'll go back to the drawing board. Okay, it did cut a thread. It's not very deep, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Worst case, we put it back together and it still leaks. But again, this is the easiest thing to do. So we will get it hooked up. I'll put some thread sealer in there, and maybe it'll work. So this steel line, I don't really want to do this, but I'm gonna cut it, and that way I can go from rubber and then onto that barbed fitting. Just gotta cut this. Okay, so we had it on the tractor. It ran, it leaked pretty bad. As I suspected, wasn't able to cut the threads deep enough to get a real good seal, and it was just dripping, and it was dripping a little bit too much. I tried tightening it up, but pretty much the same result. It's leaking. I feel like if I try to tighten that down any further, it's just going to crack this piece here, and then we'd be in real big trouble. I think right now we still have the ability to potentially salvage this thing. So I'm going to go grab some JB Weld, and we're going to put the fitting in with some JB Weld, and we're going to let it cure overnight in the house where it's warm, and hopefully we get a better result tomorrow. Okay guys, went back into town again, Canadian Tire, got some JB Weld. We're going to try this. We're going to use the same fitting, but we're going to use some JB Weld to hopefully seal it up. I prepped all the surfaces, and I also shortened this just a little bit. It seems to want to thread in there just fine. So we're going to coat the threads with JB Weld, thread it in, snug it up, and then we're going to dress it on the outside with some JB Weld as well. And hopefully we're going to let it cure overnight, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to get it set up and it won't be leaking. So looks like shit, but if it works, it works. We're going to let this cure overnight, and hopefully tomorrow morning we'll be able to install it and we won't have any leaks. Okay, it's the next morning. I had the carb in the house all night where it was warm. That JB Weld is rock solid. So we got everything hooked back up, fuel line, and we're going to give her a go here, and hopefully we don't have a leak. Okay guys, we fired up the tractor, we ran it for about 10 minutes and no leaks. So it looks like a combination of threading that port on the carburetor and also adding the JB Weld to both the threads and then on the outside to kind of seal it up. That seems to taking care of the leak. Now, I'm not sure how well this stuff's going to hold up long term when it's exposed to fuel and vibration, so we'll have to see. But for now, tractor's fixed and we're up and running, so that's a good thing. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And if you like seeing more videos like this about tractors and farm life, definitely think about subscribing to the channel. As always, thanks for watching.